Hello and welcome back to Field Notes Podcast. I'm your host, Eden, and thank you for joining me in today's episode. Have you ever just wanted something to happen sooner and it's taking a long time to get here? Whether it's a manifestation, a goal, a big life event, even finding clarity around something, wanting to get to that point sooner. You imagined it happening on a certain timeline and it just isn't. That can be one of the hardest things to navigate. I've been there. And so in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the things that have helped me the most when I've been in this position and how these shifts have helped me get to the other side with so much more grace and so much more acceptance, and ultimately how I ended up making better use of the time when things were not happening on the timeline that I had been hoping for. One of the most pivotal times in my life where I went through this was in my early to mid 20s when I was really wanting to be in love and find my soulmate. And if you haven't heard my manifestation story about my now husband, you can listen. It's like the first 3 episodes of the podcast ever. But there were times in which it was so hard. Like when it comes to love or like relationships or trying to have a baby, I feel like these things that directly involve other people and love and things we want so bad, it can literally be like torture. So if you've been there, I got you. Let's get into it. So let's just discuss how sometimes there are things that we just really want. We want them so bad that it's actually painful. It's painful when they're not showing up. And when we don't have the right mindset, inner resources, outer resources, and capacity to move through the pain and, dare I say, suffering of pining after something, it not being here on the timeline that you want, it really just sucks. So the goal, in my personal opinion, is to go through the alchemical process of finding acceptance. I'm going to get into what I mean by that. But when we can get to that place, we can begin to see the timeline. We can see the entire situation in an entirely new light that opens up perspective. It opens up wisdom. It opens up feeling more connected to God or the universe or your higher power, to yourself. It can become one of the most rich and potential filled times for your manifestation or goal or whatever to not have happened yet. Okay, so I want to open with a quote from Carl Jung, founder of analytical psychology, who said, "Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering." And I think that this is such a important and applicable doorway into this topic, because if you ever you've been waiting for that thing, that manifestation, that person, that partner, that child, or whatever it is, I'm just going to talk to you like you know what I'm talking about, because I feel like you wouldn't be watching this unless you're going through this or you have gone through this. But there is like this rumination that can happen. There's this anxiety that can happen. It captures you. It captures you, and it captures so much of your emotional and mental energy, and you are constantly thinking about it. One of the prime examples and ways that this manifests is when we are caught in this cycle of thinking that there is more that is within our control than there actually is, and thinking that there's something we could be doing more of, or we could be doing differently, or we could change, or we could be trying in order to just make it happen. It's almost like this bargaining stage with the universe where you are like so obsessed with making something happen that you are almost giving yourself too much power. We'll get into these intricate dynamics of like the inner control and the outer lack of control, but it's like we are going through every action, every thought that we're having, every intention in our heart with a fine-tooth comb, as if there's just something we could think, or there's some hidden thought in the corner of our mind that if we could just subconsciously reprogram, that everything would have shifted. And so we're almost placing too much responsibility on ourselves to be able to change time. And this, I think, really is a picture of what Jung is talking about in this quote of neurotic. It's neurosis. It is not genuine suffering. So what this is saying, in my understanding, is that when we are in that ruminatory place and we are obsessing and we are having these constant, all of our energies fixated on it, we are actually avoiding the true root of our pain in the situation. And in place of suffering the true pain that the absence of this person or child, or I'm using those two because I feel like those are the two you most hear about when people are really struggling with this, or maybe it's a home, but I feel like the relationship ones just hit so much deeper. We are avoiding dealing with the true pain of the situation. And instead of dealing with that, we are hovering above. I've talked about this in so many different episodes, but like it's that hovering place. It's not dropped down. It has not been processed. The reality of the situation has not been processed. It's almost like the unconscious subtitles of this energetic is like, oh no, I think there could really be something deeply painful and colossally sad about this situation, but I don't know what it could be. And I hope that that's not the case. I hope there's not something really big beneath the surface that this has to do with. But instead of that, I'm just going to do my hair differently today. And that I'm just going to keep believing in the power of like all these little thoughts I can think to fix the situation. But then 4 days later, when nothing has still happened, I'm then going to have another crash out and think that the universe doesn't love me. It's like totally unconscious, but it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. And the root of the self-fulfilling prophecy is the deeper unprocessed pain that is actually at the root of this neurosis. The word neurosis sounds kind of like something's wrong with you, but I don't mean it at all in that way. And I'm not using this in like a clinical or pathologizing way whatsoever. I'm just using it as an adjective to kind of capture the texture of that mental and emotional state when it's almost like a scratch in your brain. And this thing, you have to keep scratching it, because if you stopped, you would have to sink down deeper into what's really going on deeper in the tissues, deeper down in there. Something that's really important to touch on that I think that we do, it's a telltale sign of this, is we're in this effed up relationship with God, the universe, your higher power, where we flip-flop between like putting too much responsibility on ourselves and being really critical and putting the power and the blame on ourselves. And then also flip-flopping into being the victim of the universe or God or whatever it is. This is telltale sign that we are not in touch with the true depths, the core of this wound, of the wound that this is all coming from. And we might not be ready for that wound. So it's okay. It's okay. But just psychologically speaking, the big picture, this is how I see it. And so we'll either be like, oh my gosh, I thought this one negative thought and I'm now being punished by the universe, right? It's like too much importance on myself. That's not going to make my soulmate appear 4 weeks later than they would have if I didn't think that thought. That's not possible. We are not that powerful. And similarly, God doesn't hate you. God is not, in my opinion, like spiritually, in this kind of like manifestation perspective, the universe isn't in the details that much with it. Like it's like Santa. It's like Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not going to every single house and like, oh, if you didn't leave him the right cookies, he's going to skip your house or not give you a toy. He's got the team of elves. It's big picture. He's somehow going in a flash of light in an instant. He's bringing all these presents to the houses, right? It doesn't really make sense mathematically, but that's because Santa's not in the details with it. Santa, he doesn't go by schedule. I feel like it's the same with manifestation. God's not like, oh, you brushed your hair this way and you did your old weird self-sabotaging habit today. X, like, you're going to have to push it out by 4 weeks now. No, it's not that micro. It's much more big picture. And so when we're in this state of neurosis with feeling like every single little thing we do or thought we have controls what's going to happen, it's just not it. We're way too in the fine print. We're putting too much on ourselves, and we're also doing effed up games with the universe, which also that's an arrow back to the childhood wound. So we need to look at the parental complexes there. Okay, so what do we do? Now, big picture, what we do, of course, is the grief to acceptance pipeline. Now, here's the cold, hard truth to what we're talking about with Santa and the chimney and the universe, the delivery of the manifestation. Why isn't it happening? Like, that's your question, right? Like, why isn't it happening yet? This is the cold, hard truth to that question. We cannot control the timeline in which things come to manifest or come to be in our lives. We cannot control what's going to happen. There are factors outside of our control that are shaping how and when this thing is going to happen. All this neurosis and all this anxiety and all this obsession is a substitute for embracing and being able to tolerate that reality. It's a substitute for being able to tolerate, okay, I'm doing everything in my power. I'm taking care of myself. I'm meeting people. I'm treating myself with respect in my relationship dynamics and my potential partner. I'm clear on what I want. I'm doing everything, and still I can't control when it's going to happen. This is a hard thing to accept. It requires that we are able to tolerate uncertainty, and it also requires that we let go of our more childlike, wounded ways of being in the world. Because when we have not cleared those templates, those child wound templates in the arenas of love and in the arenas of relationships, specifically intimate relationships, children obviously are going to again constellate this, because it is a symbol for potentially your inner child, or that childhood you never had, or that experience you never had. When these templates are not clear, in other words, when the way that we are relating to these relationships and things is not cleared from our own childhood wounding, we are going to be playing games. We're going to be in this hovering space. It's a very disempowered space. It is a very conditional space. It is a space where we are, again, the responsibility is super uneven, and we see ourselves as a victim, or we see ourselves as having more power than we have. It is not being in proper relationship of like the human to the spiritual and the energetic reality that we live in. And furthermore, you're going to be going in cycles with your manifestations. You're going to be going in these energetic cycles where the universe is going to keep not giving you what you want. It's not that. It's very important that we distinguish from that, because it is not that the universe or God or whoever is not giving you what you want. It is that you are unconsciously manifesting this wounded energy, which is shaping your behavior in ways that you have not yet realized. It's unconsciously shaping the things that you even think that you want and what you're going after. It's like that typical pattern of going after the emotionally unavailable person, or it's a way that our unconscious crafts a narrative about a situation that isn't at all what this situation is, but we're projecting this thematic story about our childhood in this totally unconscious way, so that we're kind of re-interfacing with it. And that's going to keep happening until we clear it. So it kind of all is pointing us in the same direction. Okay, so this is the reframe. This is the pivot point, okay? And this is the cold hard truth. This is the cold hard truth. I'm giving you the real truth because I care about you. I care about you. It pains me. It truly pains me having been through this and seeing people going through this. I don't want you to be suffering, which is why I'm not going to BS you. The ticket out. This is the reframe. We have to see this timeline, right? The problem is that we wanted something to happen in a particular time. We're not happy because something hasn't happened yet. We need to shift from seeing this situation like, oh my God, why isn't it here? What haven't I done? Is it because I didn't say this prayer last night? And is it because I didn't light a pink serenity candle last night? We need to shift from that to recognizing that we are dealing with a loss. We are dealing with a loss. We are dealing with a grieving situation. And what we are grieving is the fact that what you wanted to happen, it already didn't happen. So the neurosis is the denial that what we were hoping for, it still maybe could happen. Maybe this person will be my dad and they will come in and they will give me everything and they will meet all of my needs and someone will just come in and rescue me, or this person will just magically appear and this will happen, or I will have this child and it will be the fulfillment of my whole life, right? It'll make me whole or something like that. That, again, it's the childhood wound. It's pointing to the fact that the loss is this person wasn't there a long time ago. They weren't. It's over. When you can grieve that, or there's a part of me that doesn't feel whole, you know, this is an old wound that I have to address. Oh, I really always thought I was going to be married by the time I was 25. I thought I was going to be married and have 2 kids by the time I was 27. That didn't happen. It is the loss. It is the confrontation of the lost thing, the lost timeline, and the letting go. And often the grieving, the very real grieving of the part of you that has been unconsciously still trying to get something met by remaining in this frantic state, this quasi-delulu state, lovingly, respectfully, been there. It is grieving that. And it is grieving the timelines that did not unfold. When you can actually stop, like you can almost feel the shift in this. It's the shift from this frenetic energy to this settled energy. It's letting the dust settle. It's like stopping the frantic activity long enough to pay attention to what's going on with you here beneath all of that. And when you can do that, there's a mourning. There's a mourning that unfolds. There's a grieving that unfolds. Now, again, this requires that we have the ability to tolerate strong emotions. It requires that we are resourced inwardly or outwardly, that we have the ability to regulate our nervous system, especially in the face of strong feelings. But we can also begin by just taking a little moment of stillness or a little moment of inquiry with ourselves in the midst of this frantic, this anxious energy, to just inquire even like, hey self, haven't checked in with you. I've been so focused on making sure this thing's happening, but like, what's going on? Like, what's going on in here? When you at least can consider what is happening from the perspective of a loss, like what am I trying to get? Why is it so important? Why can't I tolerate the thought that this may be 40 more years until this happening? Before this happens, it will help you to understand why you feel the need to control this situation. And it will give you so much more compassion for yourself as well. When you can move into that grieving space, it will literally dissolve the emotional charge, the anxiety effortlessly. It will really dissolve a lot of that feeling. And you will find yourself emerging on the other side with a newfound clarity and a newfound acceptance. Okay. moving on, if you just want a quick fix, this is the closest thing I can give you to that. What I'm about to give you is a list of just additional reframes that this is like the psychological quick fix. These can also be good doorways into more of that acceptance of creating meaning from your circumstances, of finding intelligence in your circumstances rather than assuming that they are wrong and assuming that the timeline is wrong. Number one, can you simply trust that for some reason, according to some higher power, things are just unfolding exactly as they're supposed to? Like, can you even a little open to the fact that perhaps the way that this is unfolding is perfectly suited to your life and your development? I mean, case in point, what I just said, it's like, if you have not figured out what the driving wound is, if you were in that really anxious energy, this is perfect timing to figure out what that is so that you're not projecting that onto your partner and you're not doing crazy stuff with them once they get into the picture, or you're not making your child fulfill your unfulfilled identity once you have them, answered, right? Done. Here's your assignment. Like, use that as motivation to be like, let me get my wits about me a little bit more before this person comes into my life. Okay, this is a good one too. Accepting where you are, as we've discussed, but in what ways does it actually make more sense for the timing to be the way it is in reality rather than what you'd hoped to be? So maybe you wanted to get married when you were 22, but in what ways does it actually make more sense that you get married when you're 35? There are always reasons. There are always reasons, positive reasons why things happen the way that they do. So search for those. Number 3 is my personal favorite. More time to work on yourself until that thing happens. Okay? Not work on yourself, but it's more time to refine the person that you are. How can you view this through the lens of like, how can you continue to grow during this time in a way that is only going to impact you becoming a spouse, or you becoming a parent, or you becoming a governor of California? You've had more time. You will, as a result of having a longer timeline in your mind, which is really perfect, but in your mind, you have a benefit. You have an advantage because you will have had more time to prepare for that thing. Oh, another one of my favorites. Cultivating gratitude for the expansiveness of the human experience. Only through the contrast of not having do we fully come to know and experience, and can we fully appreciate the experience of having. Like, I know this sounds cliche, but can you let your heart break open wider in this process? Because it is a gift. It is a gift and a blessing to get to know the depths of not having, of grief, of loss, of loneliness. These experiences, when we can alchemize them and we have the resources to move through them in a intentional way, are the most enriching experiences. They make us more of who we are. They give us so much more appreciation for life. They give us so much more gratitude for the things that we do want and that we have. And when we can stop seeing this as a curse and start seeing it as a perfect set of circumstances being given to you by the universe for you to develop wisdom, to develop life experience, you will come out on the other side and have so much more appreciation and readiness when that thing that you're hoping is going to happen happens. This is another good one, but every timeline has pros and cons. Like, you may think, oh, I really wanted to have kids when I was 22 so I could have more energy. And like, yes, that is a pro. That is absolutely a pro. You have more energy, you have more time with them, whatever. Or you met your partner when you were younger, same thing. But there are also pros to things happening later in life. Like meeting your partner later in life, you have more time to establish who you are. You go into the situation with so much less drama. You're able to like better maintain your, individual boundaries so much better because you're already established in your life, which is just so much more mature and like grounded. There's so many benefits. It's probably way less dramatic and all this stuff than when you're meeting earlier on in the heat of things and all this stuff. So there are legitimate pros and cons. Every single timeline has good things about it and it has not so good things about it, and none is intrinsically better than the other. They literally all have benefits and they're just different. Okay, finally, how can I be of service to my future self or the people that are going to be involved with this manifestation or thing happening? So how can I use this time wisely to help me be of more service to those things? How can I be more prepared to become the governor of California? There's more you can do. Again, this isn't about beating yourself up. This isn't about having this endless personal development to-do list. It is about creating meaning from your circumstances. It is about getting outside of your own head, getting out of thinking about yourself, thinking about how can I benefit my partner? Do I want to tell my partner when they come, oh yeah, I sat and cried every day and I pounded my fist on the floor every day until you showed up and then you finally did and I finally felt loved by the universe? No, you want to be transformed by the time they come into your life, so that by the time they come in, you're so whole, your wounds are so bandaged over that you're like, it is so great to meet you. Maybe it's not that professional, but you want to be so centered that when they come into your life, you can clearly communicate, this is my daily routine. This is what I need from you. This is what I want for my future. This is how I want to like help you reach your goals. Like, this is what I can offer in this relationship. Like, stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about how you can show up for the people around you and how can you just be even better and be ready to give more when these things start coming into play. All in all, just hang in there, because you will find one day that things happened the way that they were supposed to. They happened on the timing they were supposed to, even when it does not seem like it in the moment. Final tip, try having a heartfelt dialogue with the universe, your higher power, God, whatever it might be, your unconscious, and maybe it's even the partner that you're trying to manifest or whatever. Have a vulnerable dialogue where you aren't in this, why isn't this happening? But you actually share from the heart why this is so important to you, why this thing means so much to you, and how it's going to impact your life. And just get into that heart field with it instead of this head, more anxious field. And ask for the comfort and ask to develop the trust and ask to be comforted and just supported as you continue on with this process, because it can be hard to hold on in those moments when you just feel like, is this ever going to happen for me? So ask for the support, be open, be comfortable with the fact that I don't know why it's taking so long and I am having a hard time trusting right now. And I want to trust because I want this so much. So please, can you show me, or can you instill more faith in me, or can you just guide me on how I can cope with this or what I should do? Get into this vulnerable heart field between you and the universe to kind of write that channel so that it's not coming from this, oh my God, what do I need to do to please you? Do I need to do this or do I need to do that? Like, you have a direct line. You don't need to be guessing. You don't need to be playing games. You have a direct line. So use that. Okay, this is the end. Leave your comments on YouTube. Submit your questions via the link in the description. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next one.